Lawrence Taylor. In the storied history of the NFL, few names strike fear and awe like Lawrence Taylor. Drafted second overall by the New York Giants in 1981, Taylor redefined the linebacker position with a ferocity and speed the league had never seen. Over his 13-year career, all with the Giants, he racked up 10 Pro Bowl selections, 2 Super Bowl titles, and 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. But it was the 1986 season that cemented him as a legend. That year, Taylor delivered one of the most dominant defensive performances the game has ever witnessed. He recorded 20.5 sacks, an astonishing number made even more impressive considering outside linebackers weren't even expected to lead in sacks at the time. His relentless pressure shattered offensive lines, terrorized quarterbacks, and anchored a Giants defense that gave up the second fewest points in the league. Taylor's sack total ranked second in NFL history at the time, and remains tied for 6th all-time even today. His impact wasn't just on paper, it was visceral. Quarterbacks dreaded seeing number 56 coming off the edge. But Taylor didn't stop in the regular season. In the 1986 playoffs, he intercepted Joe Montana and returned it for a touchdown, a rare pick six by a linebacker, fueling the Giants' postseason run. That year, he made history as the first and only defensive player to win the NFL MVP award unanimously. It was more than a trophy. It was a statement that defense could dominate headlines too. Lawrence Taylor's 1986 campaign wasn't just statistically elite. It redefined what a defensive player could be. His 20.5 sacks remain a symbol of pure, unrelenting chaos, delivered snap after snap, and to this day, it's not just remembered as one of the best defensive seasons ever, it's the gold standard. J.J. Watt. In 2012, the NFL witnessed the emergence of a defensive powerhouse, J.J. Watt. Drafted 11th overall by the Houston Texans in 2011, Watt was already showing flashes of brilliance during his rookie campaign, but no one could have predicted the level of dominance he'd unleash in just his second season. At 6'5", 290 pounds, Watt was a relentless force, combining size, speed, and uncanny instincts that made him nearly unblockable. Over a decade-long career that included 5 Pro Bowl selections, 5 first-team All-Pro nods, and 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, 2012 stood out as his defining moment. That year, J.J. Watt recorded 20.5 sacks, tying the all-time single-season mark set by Lawrence Taylor and later Michael Strahan, though Strahan's record came with controversy. But Watt didn't just stop at quarterback takedowns. He also posted an NFL record 39 tackles for loss, numbers that speak to his complete disruption of offensive schemes. Add in 81 total tackles, 4 forced fumbles, and 16 pass deflections. Yes, deflections, because Watt treated passing lanes like a volleyball net. And you get a season that was nothing short of historic. His performance earned him his first Defensive Player of the Year award and put him on a short list of defenders ever considered for league MVP. Watt's 2012 campaign changed how the league viewed defensive linemen. He wasn't just a pass rusher, he was a game wrecker from anywhere on the line. His motor never stopped. Offensive coordinators were forced to retool entire game plans just to slow him down. That single season redefined the ceiling for defensive dominance and helped cement Watt's legacy as one of the greatest defensive players the game has ever seen. To this day, his 2012 season remains one of the most complete and terrifying defensive performances in NFL history. J.J. Watt again. In the 2014 NFL season, J.J. Watt cemented himself not just as the face of the Houston Texans, but as one of the most dominant defensive players in NFL history. Standing 6 feet 5 inches and weighing nearly 290 pounds, Watt entered his 4th season already a household name, having claimed the 2012 Defensive Player of the Year award with a staggering 20.5 sacks. But in 2014, he reached an entirely different level. Watt didn't just disrupt offenses, he terrorized them, producing a season so dominant that many consider it the single greatest campaign ever by a defensive lineman. That year, Watt once again hit the 20.5 sack mark, becoming the only player in NFL history to record multiple 20-sack seasons. But the numbers only tell part of the story. He led the league in tackles for loss with 29, recovered 4 fumbles, forced 5 others, and even intercepted a pass, returning it 80 yards for a touchdown. In total, Watt scored 5 touchdowns that season, 3 on offense and 2 on defense, an unheard-of feat for a defensive end. According to Pro Football Focus, Watt registered an astonishing 119 quarterback pressures, the highest ever recorded in a single season since they began tracking the stat in 2006. Every snap he played was a nightmare for opposing linemen and quarterbacks alike. The impact of Watt's 2014 season rippled through the league. He became the first defensive player in NFL history to receive multiple MVP votes in a single season since Lawrence Taylor. He earned his second Defensive Player of the Year award and redefined what it meant to be a game wrecker on the edge. Watt's relentless motor, elite technique, and freakish athleticism didn't just create stats, they created fear. And for one unforgettable season in 2014, J.J. Watt wasn't just the best defender in football, he was the most dominant player on any side of the ball. By the way, I'm going to be posting a lot more interesting videos on the channel. I'll greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Aaron Donald. In the storied history of the NFL, few defensive linemen have ever wreaked havoc with the relentless precision of Aaron Donald. Drafted 13th overall by the St. Louis Rams in 2014, Donald quickly became the face of the franchise, both before and after their move to Los Angeles. Across his career, he's earned 10 Pro Bowl nods, 7 first-team All-Pro selections, and 3 NFL Defensive Player of the Year awards, putting him in elite company alongside legends like Lawrence Taylor and J.J. Watt. But among all his seasons of dominance, 2018 stood alone as his undisputed masterpiece. That year, Donald tore through offensive lines with terrifying consistency. He racked up 20.5 sacks, tying the most ever recorded in a single season by a defensive tackle, and placing him alongside the greatest pass rushers in league history. But his impact went far beyond sacks. He recorded 59 total tackles, led the league with 25 tackles for loss, and forced 4 fumbles. According to Pro Football Focus, he generated a staggering 106 quarterback pressures, a number almost unheard of from an interior lineman. Offensive coordinators simply couldn't scheme around him. He was a one-man wrecking crew. Donald's 2018 campaign didn't just redefine what a defensive tackle could do. It changed the way the position is viewed across the league. He wasn't rushing from the edge. He was bulldozing through the heart of the line, demanding double and triple teams and still getting home. That season helped solidify his legacy, not just as one of the best defensive players of his era, but as one of the most dominant defenders the game has ever seen. For interior linemen past and present, Aaron Donald's 2018 season became the gold standard and the blueprint for chaos. Reggie White. Known as the Minister of Defense, he was one of the most dominant defensive forces in NFL history. Born in 1961, White played 15 seasons in the NFL, first with the Philadelphia Eagles, then the Green Bay Packers, and finally a brief stint with the Carolina Panthers. Over his storied career, White was a 13-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, and a Super Bowl champion with the Packers in 1996. He finished his career with 198 sacks, second only to Bruce Smith, and was posthumously honored with induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2006. But among all his accolades, one season stands out as a true monument to his greatness. In 1987, while wreaking havoc for the Eagles, Reggie White recorded a staggering 21 sacks in just 12 games. That's right, 21 sacks. Despite a player's strike that shortened the season, his pace was otherworldly. Had the season been a full 16 games, White was on track to break the single-season sack record well before it became the elite benchmark it is today. That year, he also racked up 76 total tackles and led the league in sacks for the first of 2 consecutive seasons, a feat accomplished by only a select few in NFL history. This performance launched a stretch of dominance that included 5 seasons with 15 or more sacks and 9 with double-digit sack totals, both NFL records that still stand. The impact of White's 1987 season goes beyond numbers. It established him as a generational talent, capable of controlling games from the defensive line. His ability to overpower blockers, collapse pockets, and terrorize quarterbacks redefined what it meant to be a defensive end. That season solidified his reputation and helped elevate the profile of defensive stars in a league often obsessed with offense. In just 12 games, Reggie White etched a legacy that remains unmatched in terms of both dominance and efficiency, cementing 1987 as one of the greatest defensive campaigns the NFL has ever seen. Chris Doleman, he was one of the most dominant pass rushers of his era, a force off the edge whose career spanned from 1985 to 1999. Drafted 4th overall by the Minnesota Vikings, Doleman spent the majority of his career terrorizing quarterbacks in purple and gold, with later stints for the Atlanta Falcons and San Francisco 49ers. An 8-time Pro Bowler and a member of the NFL 1990s All-Decade Team, Doleman finished his career with 150.5 sacks, 5th all-time at the time of his retirement. But it was his 1989 season that permanently etched his name into NFL history. In 1989, nearly 20 years after the Purple People Eaters made Minnesota's defense feared across the league, Doleman delivered a season worthy of that legendary lineage. That year, he exploded for 21 sacks, a staggering number that still ranks among the highest in NFL history for a single season. But it wasn't just about bringing down quarterbacks. Doleman also recorded 94 total tackles and 5 forced fumbles, showcasing a relentless motor and elite athleticism that overwhelmed offensive lines week after week. The 21st sack mark came during a time when offenses were becoming more complex and mobile, making Doleman's achievement even more impressive. The significance of Doleman's 1989 campaign can't be overstated. It wasn't just a career year, it was a launching pad into NFL stardom. He was named first-team All-Pro and quickly became the focal point of Minnesota's defensive identity. His performance helped redefine expectations for edge rushers during a transformative period in NFL history. Doleman's 1989 season remains a benchmark for greatness, an example of what happens when power, speed, and football IQ collide at the highest level. It solidified his path to Canton, where he was enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2012. Mark Gastau. In the mid-1980s, when defensive ends were expected to dominate with brute force and raw speed, no one embodied that role more theatrically or effectively than Mark Gastau. Born in 1956, Gastau spent his entire NFL career with the New York Jets from 1979 to 1988. A central figure in the iconic New York sack exchange, he quickly became known for his flamboyant celebrations, his explosive first step off the line, and his undeniable production. A 5-time Pro Bowler and 2-time All-Pro, Gastau was one of the most feared edge rushers of his era, but it was the 1984 season that etched his name permanently into NFL history. That year, Gastau didn't just have a good season, he delivered what was then considered the most dominant pass rushing performance in league history. He recorded an astonishing 22 sacks across 16 games, setting a new single-season record at the time. Week after week, quarterbacks had no answer for his relentless pressure. Gastau was a nightmare in the backfield, and his stats proved it. Beyond the sacks, he added a scoop-and-score touchdown that season, putting his athleticism and awareness on full display. It was a statement season, and it marked the peak of his explosive career. Gastau's 1984 campaign didn't just elevate his own status, it redefined what was possible for a defensive end in a pass-heavy era. His record stood as the gold standard until Michael Strahan broke it in 2001 with 22.5 sacks. Yet many still regard Gastau's feat as more organically earned, considering the consistency and dominance he displayed across the entire season. His legacy, while later marred by off-field controversies, remains deeply tied to that singular year of brilliance. In the high-stakes, high-impact world of NFL pass rushers, 1984 was the year Mark Gastau ruled with fury and flair. Jared Allen. In 2011, Jared Allen, one of the most relentless pass rushers of his era, delivered a season that etched his name among NFL legends. Born in Texas and drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs in 2004, Allen later found his true prime with the Minnesota Vikings. Known for his wild-eyed energy, signature calf-roping sack celebration, and tireless motor, Allen was already a household name by the early 2000s. But 2011 was different. It was historic. That year, Allen put together one of the greatest individual defensive seasons in NFL history. Over 16 games, he racked up a staggering 22 sacks, just half a sack shy of Michael Strahan's single-season record. From Week 1 through Week 17, Allen was a nightmare off the edge, combining speed, leverage, and power in a way that few offensive linemen could contain. Alongside those 22 sacks, he tallied 66 total tackles, 4 forced fumbles, and an interception. He led the NFL in sacks for the second time in his career and came agonizingly close to being named Defensive Player of the Year, finishing just 7 votes behind Terrell Suggs. Allen's 2011 campaign wasn't just about the numbers, it was about domination. In a league evolving toward faster offenses and mobile quarterbacks, Allen proved that an elite defensive end could still take over games. His effort nearly shattered the all-time sack record and reminded the football world that greatness can be defined not just by accolades, but by raw, unstoppable impact on the field. Justin Houston. In the 2014 NFL season, Justin Houston of the Kansas City Chiefs delivered one of the most electrifying performances by a defensive player in league history. Drafted in the 3rd round in 2011 out of Georgia, Houston had steadily climbed the ranks as a premier pass rusher. By the time he reached his 4th season, he was a dominant force off the edge. Known for his explosive first step, relentless pursuit, and technical finesse, Houston became a nightmare for offensive linemen. That year, he cemented his legacy with a record-chasing campaign that nearly rewrote the books. Houston racked up an astonishing 22 sacks over the course of the 2014 season. That number not only led the league, it placed him just half a sack short of breaking Michael Strahan's single-season record of 22.5 set in 2001. What made his performance even more jaw-dropping was the way he closed out the year. In the final game of the regular season against the San Diego Chargers, Houston exploded for 4 sacks, bringing him right to the doorstep of history. Alongside his sack total, he also tallied 69 combined tackles and forced 4 fumbles, putting together one of the most complete and disruptive defensive seasons in recent memory. Despite the monumental stat line, Houston finished 2nd in the Defensive Player of the Year, voting to J.J. Watt, who had 20.5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, and 2 defensive touchdowns. But make no mistake, Houston's 2014 season left a permanent mark on the league. It served as a reminder that dominance doesn't always come with the spotlight. It often comes with grit, timing, and execution. His near-record season remains one of the closest any player has come to surpassing Strahan's mark, and it helped solidify Houston's place among the great pass rushers of his generation. Michael Strahan. He was the face of the New York Giants defense for over a decade. Drafted in 1993, the 6-time All-Pro and 7-time Pro Bowler built a reputation as one of the most dominant defensive ends in NFL history. Known for his relentless motor, wide grin, and unmistakable gap-toothed smile, Strahan spent his entire 15-year career in New York, where he earned the 2001 NFL Defensive Player of the Year award and capped his career with a Super Bowl win in 2007. But the season that etched his name into the record books came well before that final championship run. In 2001, Strahan achieved what no player before him had. He sacked opposing quarterbacks 22.5 times in a single season, breaking Mark Gastineau's long-standing record of 22 set back in 1984. Strahan's record-setting moment came in Week 17 during a loss to the Green Bay Packers. Late in the game, Packers quarterback Brett Favre rolled out and slid right into Strahan's arms. That moment has sparked debate ever since. Did Favre intentionally go down to gift Strahan the record? Some critics say yes. Others argue that Strahan had already earned it with a dominant campaign, including a monstrous 3.5 sack performance just 1 week earlier against the Philadelphia Eagles, which had tied him with Gastau heading into that final game. Regardless of the controversy, the NFL officially recognized the sack, and Strahan's name went to the top of the list. No one had ever gone higher, and for over 2 decades, no one else has surpassed it. His 2001 season was a masterclass in defensive dominance. 22.5 sacks, 75 total tackles, 6 forced fumbles, and an undeniable impact on every offense he faced. The record solidified Strahan's place in NFL lore and eventually helped punch his ticket to Canton in 2014. It also set the benchmark for every elite pass rusher who came after him. Love or hate how it ended, there's no denying the brilliance of the season that put Strahan atop the sack leaderboard, where he still stands today. T.J. Watt, the relentless edge rusher for the Pittsburgh Steelers, has become one of the most feared defensive players of his era. Drafted in the first round of the 2017 NFL Draft, Watt quickly emerged from the shadow of his older brother, J.J. Watt, and carved out his own legacy in the Steel City. By the time the 2021 season rolled around, T.J. had already made multiple Pro Bowls and established himself as the heart of Pittsburgh's defense. But what he accomplished that year wasn't just career-defining, it was historic. In 2021, Watt tied the single-season NFL sack record with 22.5 sacks, matching the mark set by Michael Strahan 20 years earlier. What makes Watt's feat even more remarkable is that he achieved it in just 15 games, despite the NFL expanding to a 17-game regular season for the first time. Hampered by minor injuries throughout the year, Watt didn't just persevere, he dominated. His most explosive performance came in Week 17 against the Cleveland Browns, where he erupted for 4 sacks, setting himself up to tie the all-time record. That season, Watt also racked up 64 total tackles and 5 forced fumbles, underscoring his all-around impact on the field. Watt's record-tying performance wasn't just a statistical milestone, it symbolized the continuation of Pittsburgh's proud defensive legacy, echoing names like Jack Lambert, James Harrison, and Troy Polamalu. It also reignited debates about the legitimacy of sack records in the 17-game era, though Watt needed fewer games than anyone else on the all-time list. In the end, T.J. Watt didn't just chase history, he met it head-on, and in doing so, solidified his place as one of the most dominant pass rushers the game has ever seen. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot more interesting videos on the channel. I'd greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. Thank you very much.